We can see your slides now.
Okay, okay.
You have the floor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good morning once again, everybody. My job is kind of going to be easier because of the already established template by my colleagues. What I'm going to be discussing about is the significance of duty bearers. Listening to the topic or reading through the topic, you may want to think.
Excuse me, please.
Is the audio low? Is it better now?
The audio is better, but can you use the slideshow?
Slideshow, okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll do that. Sorry, please. I'm trying to. Sorry, please. I'm struggling. I don't know. I want to kind of. Are we okay now?
No, maybe towards the top right-hand side, you see 3 dots, if you have it on your screen.
I just changed to slideshow. Okay.
You'll see it.
You may need to come out from screen sharing and then effect that.
Okay. Okay, let me stop sharing screen then.
Yes.
Sorry. Right.
If you look at the top right-hand side, you may see a kind of drop-down icon.
I'm seeing, and
if you click on it, it will drop down. You may see your show.
It's not there. Let me. Okay.
Okay, so because at the bottom, depending on your own screen.
Pause recording now.
I thought it could be on the left.
No, I can see the drop down. It's just that the options I'm getting.
No slideshow.
Yeah, no slideshow.
Okay, check somewhere down. Down, bottom, right.
Wow.
Okay, you can just
so, okay, let me stop sharing screen anyway. Let's see.
No, okay.
Why not just go ahead?
Do you want to share the slides from your end? Is it possible?
No. Just go ahead. Continue.
Go on, just go.
Wait.
I didn't put your slide on.
I sent them to you not too long. If you can, you have.
Okay.
Check your pages.
Yes, you can go ahead. Once I get them
okay.
on, I will continue from where you start.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I should go back to screen sharing now. Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, screen sharing, please.
Okay. Can we see?
It's coming up. Yes, we can see.
But not on slideshow yet, right?
Yes, but just go ahead, do your presentation.
Okay. Sorry, you bear with me and manage what we have.
It's very visible, it's okay.
It's all right, okay. Thank you once again. I said I was going to take on the significance of the duty bearers. And you may want to wonder the connection between duty bearers and the gender workshop. And like I said earlier again, I said my colleagues have set a robust template on which I'm going to stand on. And hopefully this will make the presentation clearer and more meaningful and impactful for us. So I'm going to run through the introduction, and while talking on the introduction, I'll be taking us through cracks and how people fall into cracks. I'll also talk about the types and importance of institutions in gender power play. Then I'll now move into the main, aspect of the topic, trying to define who the duty bearer is and the roles that they play in our societies. And I'll take us through conclusion, where I will try to expatiate on what duty bearers can do towards ensuring a gender equality, environment. So by way of starting, I want to define cracks and also tell us why people fall into cracks. If you want to translate cracks literally, we think of holes, we think of gaps, we also think of barriers. But if you want to put it into gender perspective, I would want us to see cracks as misconceptions, misinterpretations. And these misinterpretations and misconceptions can actually be done consciously and unconsciously. So the reasons why people fall into these cracks is because of three main factors. We adopt a narrow definition of gender. It has been stressed today that gender is not about the sexual organs. It's not about the genetic component of man and woman, child, boy or girl. Gender is actually the social construct of the roles that these individuals play. So when we adopt that narrow view of gender, looking at gender as a boy thing or a girl thing, a man thing or a woman thing, then we are likely to fall into cracks. We are likely to fall into those holes, those pitfalls that will not make us see that we need to even out things and make things equal, give both the man and the woman equal opportunity. We try also to underestimate the role of institutions. In the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about institutions. But for now, we need to also recognize and understand that these institutions play significant roles in ensuring gender equality. So we need to recognize the role that the institutions play, if at all we want to attain a gender equality environment. Then again, we focus on constraints and not the root causes. When we look at some stereotypic statements like boys don't climb trees and girls don't climb trees, we've already narrowed the definition of gender to mean that climbing trees should be, attached to boys. But why don't we take a pause and look at the constraints that are associated with girls climbing trees? Maybe they are more prone to falling. If we look at the root causes, why would a girl easily fall off from a tree while a boy may not likely fall off? Then we may want to consider the dressing. Maybe the girl would have, adorned herself with an attire that is flowing, that may make it easy to drop off the tree. If that is the case, why don't we focus on remedying that situation? Sprinkle in some strategies that will make it easier for that girl to climb tree. Maybe adorning a trouser instead of a skirt or a gown that is flowing. And this may make it easier. So in focusing on those constraints and not the root causes, and also underestimating the roles of institutions, as well as adopting a narrow definition of gender, makes it easy for us to fall into cracks. And these cracks are the things we want to kind of block for us to attain gender equality. So now I'll go to the types of institutions that we have and the roles that they play. Broadly speaking, especially in Africa setting, rural Africa, we have two types of institutions. And even beyond Africa anyway, in the globe, there are two main types of institutions. The first one is the formal institution, then we have the informal institution. So these two institutions, whichever one we adopt, we can leverage on them to ensure gender equality. The specific types, we have the marriage. In a marriage, we know that it is a union between the husband and the wife. But in gender perspective, we don't want to focus on, union between man and woman, because we know that these days, apart from being genetically composed as a boy or as a girl, a lot of changes or advancement has happened. And the United Nations is trying to encourage, giving equal opportunities, looking at the roles that each person plays. So if someone that is born with the biological traits of a girl chooses to act as a husband or as a man, they are free to do so. Since we all have, freedom of from all of those fundamental human rights that makes it allowed for us to decide to change our gender. So that being the case, we look at what role that each person within each of these institutions, the marriage, for example, what role do they play? If it is the woman that is going out to fend for the family and the man chooses to stay at home and nurse the children, do the cooking, it is the role that they have chosen to play. But we know that the responsibilities of each party or each individual is important. Let's look at the health institution as another example. We have doctors and nurses in the hospital. We have even the support workers as well in the hospital. It could be, the role can be played by either the male or the female, but they all have to come together and put in their best for us to attain the gender equality thing that we're talking about. Then the financial institutions. Again, as I move on, we'll still get better picture. I don't want to dwell too much here because there will still be an opportunity for me to expand on these as well. So now, let's now come to that duty bearer of a thing. I want to kind of demystify it. Who are they and what roles do they play? The duty bearers are individuals, or it can be an individual and it can be a group of people, but they have the mandate to enforce laws. In any organization, be it the formal institution or the informal institution, there are laws. If we take the informal institution of the family as an example, within the family, we have rules and regulations that guide both the parents and the children. We may want to, it could be part of our rules or our laws within our homes that before children will go to school in the morning, they clean the house. Before children will go to school in the morning, they try to tidy up the homes. If that is the law, we have duty bearers within the family who will ensure that these rules or these laws are kept. And they also have the responsibility of ensuring the continuity. So we don't want a situation whereby people will follow the rules for a limited period of time and go off it. So the duty bearers are the ones that are the custodians of maintaining law and order, either in the society, in the small group of community in the home, the family, or the society at large, or even in the marketplaces. They oversee implementation, and the relationship with these duty bearers are critical. Amongst us here, we have duty bearers as well. Again, they are the ones who sprinkles tokenism. If, for example, we notice that in this particular organization, we are not gender balanced, or we are gender biased, or we are not gender sensitive, it is the duty bearers that will swing into action to ensure that there is a fair and equal opportunity for both man and woman, boy and girl, to be part of the, whatever benefit or thing that is going on within the society. If we notice that it is only the girls that attend school, for example, in this community, the duty bearers are the ones that would try to promote equal education opportunity for both the boys and the girls. How do we identify these people amongst us? By the time we are done, it will become obvious to us that we all in our rights are duty bearers, not only the ones that I've listed. But let's take the family institution as an example. We have grandparents. In some African setting, and even the world at large, we have extended families living together. And even where the grandparents don't live with them, we discover that for as long as they live, we keep referring back to them, either for advice, or they keep, kind of trying to make their presence felt amongst the children, their grandchildren. So the grandparents are duty bearers within the family. The parents themselves are duty bearers. The older child is also a duty bearer. So we'll be talking of firstborn, we'll be talking of the elder one, the older one, the younger one. The elder one, when the parents are not around, they may be the one that will now take care or take charge of the younger ones. So these people within the family are duty bearers. If we come to the society, we have traditional rulers, we have our elders, we have the association leaders. They are all duty bearers. They try to maintain law and order within the society. They try to regulate. And when they notice that there is a shortfall or cracks are being formed, gaps are being created, and holes are opening up, they are the ones that will come in to try to block or clog those gaps. In the health institutions, we have doctors, nurses, pharmacists. I've listed a few, but like I said, we have some people that are not even professional in the sense of the health technical aspect of the health worker, but we have administrative officers in the hospitals too. Sometimes a doctor might even be called to order by a senior administrative officer, depending on the role that they play. We are talking about roles whenever we are talking about gender. So in the health institutions, we have various people serving as duty bearers. In the education institutions, in our universities, or even research institutes, we have our heads of departments, we have our deans, we have the executive officers who are the duty bearers. But narrowing it down, the lecturers, again, they are duty bearers. They may have superiors that they are responsible to, maybe the HOD, the dean, but they are also like the custodian in the classroom. Between their students, they are duty bearers. But among these students themselves, we also have duty bearers. That's why we assign roles like class reps or group reps or assistant class reps. So we can begin to see or appreciate that everybody is a duty bearer, because even when you have two people in a group, two people forming a group, you are supposed to appoint a leader. It might be self-appointing, it might be written or unwritten, but there will be somebody steering or leading. In this particular workshop that we have duty bearers. Dr. Ibinimi, the moderator, is bearing a particular duty in this regard. But if we look at NIWAD as an association, we already acknowledge the presence of the founder. We also acknowledge the position of the president. We have executive members, ESCOs, financial, treasurer. They are duty bearers. But when we now come to the members, within the members, anyone can take up a responsibility just to put things in order. If you notice something, you can call the attention of an ESCO or a superior officer to kind of moderate or rectify whatever problem that we have. If we notice that there is a gap, you may not on your own as an individual correct or try to block the gap, but you can call the attention of a superior person. That is why I said we are all duty bearers in our own rights. In the commercial institutions, we have market leaders, directors. For example, in financial institutions like banks, we'll be talking of executive director or the manager and the likes. They are duty bearers as well. But in the front desk, when you enter the reception, they still have someone who may not be the executive director, who may not be the manager, but who is responsible for the little group that is there, so that when anything goes all right, you consult those people to come and to the rescue. So now that we know who the duty bearers are, what can they do for us to attain that gender equality? Again, the United Nations these days is trying to promote gender equality and trying to de-emphasize gender equity. We saw the picture earlier on that is trying to paint what's the difference between equity and equality. But because we said we have basic fundamental human rights and that men and women should be given equal opportunity. So if someone is Black or someone is a Muslim or another person is a traditional worshiper, should not be the reason why we would have access to resources, should not be the reason why we would have access to opportunities that will help us progress, should not be the reason for promoting capacity. For example, we talk of, okay, there is a program and it is only for women because we are already narrowing the definition of gender. Or we say there is a program, it is only for men. We are equally narrowing the definition of gender. So we want a balance between opportunities for men and women, opportunities for boy and girl, opportunities for young and old. We want equal opportunities. So what should duty bearers do? One, they need to shun stereotypic statements or actions. So if, for example, a girl feels she wants to eat mango and the mango is on top of the tree and she needs to climb the tree to get the mango and she's comfortable and okay that she can easily climb this tree, maybe she's even putting on a trouser to get the mango, then she should be free to do it. That is when we'll be talking of, equality in gender. Then we should not give statements like, no, you are a girl, you cannot climb tree. If a girl child is the one that is working the most in the house, and because she has worked or overworked herself, she feels there is a need for her to take large portion of food. We shouldn't say girls don't eat plenty food. Girls don't eat, large quantity of food. It is only boys or men that can eat a bowl of eba or 2 bowls of rice. Allow the girl to take as much as she requires. So we should shun stereotypic statements. Again, we need to embrace gender mainstreaming. It is actually a strategy to attain gender equality. We mainstream gender, give both men and women, boy and girl, equal opportunity to access resources. Within our organization, for example, we shouldn't say no, the head of department should be a man. Look for who will deliver, the person that will handle the responsibility of the task and perform, promptly and at the right time. We should turn our, faces to the other side in looking at the sexual or the biological component. Let us focus on the action or the task at hand and give the responsibility to whoever that will be able to do it. So the duty bearers are the ones that will need to play this role. And again, we should keep it at the back of our mind that all of us are duty bearers. We should step in whenever it is necessary. We should not wait for only, the founder or the president to do things. Otherwise, we will be overburdening those, executives. If we all believe that it is a role that we all need to play and that we have our defined roles, not just the biological components or the sexual roles, sexual components. If we know that, okay, we all have to come together to achieve the target, then we should embrace gender mainstreaming. Again, we should deploy skills and methods that are not divisive. I'll try to give an analogy or an illustration. In a house, we have both the boy and the girl. We have kind of, depending on the community or environment or the society that we find ourselves, we have kind of ascribed some roles to girls. It is the girl that will sweep, that will wash clothes, that will even take care of the younger ones if they be. She's the one that would assist the mother in cooking when the mother is not around. It is the girl that would, dust the cobwebs. Maybe the boy may be the one to cut the grasses or clear the lawn within the compound. If we notice that we are overworking one sex over the other, and we now want to be, we want to try and ensure that there is equality, such that it is not a particular sex that would be engaged in, more appealing tasks. We want to give equal opportunity to the both of them. Why don't we deploy skills? For example, the analogy I'm trying to paint, there is a boy and a girl, and the girl is overworking. And on her own, she thought, okay, let's exchange roles, let's swap. The work that you have been doing as a boy, you do yours, you do mine, let me take your position for just one day. And they switched roles. While doing this, the boy realized that the amount of work that his sister does on daily basis outweighs what he does. And he was like, they've not even gone up to, a quarter of the day when he started complaining that, no, let's go back. Let me switch back to my role. And unfortunately, it is this same boy that would perform the less tasks that takes the, more food in terms of quantity. So it happened that the girl was like, no, you have to hang on, complete the task for today. By tomorrow, I'll go back to my role. So this skill or this method now made it visible for even the duty bearers within that household, the mother, the father, the grandparents, to appreciate and better understand the plight or the position or the situation of the girl. And, they now tried to readjust that, okay, henceforth, no one of you needs to take, greater quantity. Let each person take to their fill the quantity that would meet up with the expectation or the roles that they play as either a boy or a girl. So we should try to deploy skills that are not divisive, but that will make things, easier to achieve. And on that note, I would want to end with certain questions, which I'll try to supply answers to, but the answers are not limited, and they are not kind of close-ended. They are open, and they could be different answers for different groups. Who should be held responsible for gender mainstreaming and equality? Remember, I said gender mainstreaming is a strategy to attain gender equality. So who should be responsible? I would want to say, but during the question and answer session, we may bring, discussion, we may bring up other issues that I have not touched, but we will say it is the duty bearers. And remember, who are those duty bearers? It is all of us. It's not just the executive members. It's not only the directors. It's not only the opinion leaders in the market. Every one of us is a duty bearer, and it is a duty bearer that is responsible for ensuring gender mainstreaming and gender equality. Then what can we do, to close up those gaps in our homes or in your home, in the family as an institution? Give both the boy child and the girl child equal opportunity. Let them play all roles that are available within the household to the best of their capacity or ability. We should not say it is only boys that would, clear the lawn. If the girl so desires and she's capable and she can do it, then by all means, let's give her the opportunity to do it. Then again, what can we do, or what can one do to ensure that cracks are blocked within your organization, the social organization? When positions are being opened for contest, executive members, it shouldn't be just a particular sex that will take up certain position, that the president must be a man, while the vice president will now be, a woman. Give them equal opportunity and let people vote by the role that these people have been, performing, and their conviction to decide who they want. It is not about equity. It is not about saying that among the ESCOs, we want one woman. That is part of the cracks. We are trying to narrow the definition of gender. We want a woman or two women. When we are talking about the 30% or 25% affirmative action, that we want men to be, we want at least 25% of the positions to be women. No, make it equal and open. If by chance, but there must be representation of both sex organs. The man should be there, the woman should be there. Give them equal opportunity. If there's a need to remove barriers, remove the barriers, rather than trying to help one person over the other, because that may be trampling on the fundamental human rights of both the man and the woman. And again, on that note, let me just quickly chip in this one, that they said in 1945, according to the United Nations, Eleanor Roosevelt, who happened to be the wife of the US president at that time, attended a Congress of the United Nations. And when they wanted to form these fundamental human rights documents that we have today, initially it was meant to be fundamental man rights. And before we came into this gender perspective of a thing, we would say man. And when we say man, we are referring to both men and women. But that Eleanor Roosevelt now said that it shouldn't be man rights, it should be human rights, because it's going to be the right of both men and women. And that was how they adopted human rights instead of, otherwise today, maybe what we'll have is fundamental man rights, or it might have been modified along the line. But thank God she was there. But again, she was there because women were given equal opportunity for them to be present. And that's what we mean by gender mainstreaming. Let both parties be represented. So how can these misconceptions be reduced in the health or commercial sectors? I just tried to pick these questions along those institutions to further showcase the role of the institutions in ensuring gender equality and in trying to bring out the duty bearers in each of those institutions. So for example, in the commercial sector, in the markets now, how can we reduce misconception? There was a point in time where we thought it is the men alone that sell meat in the market, while the women will sell the foodstuff, rice and co. Again, this is depending on the gender roles that we play within our community, because it could be the reverse or the opposite in another community. So this is again trying to point to us that gender is not about sex roles, it is about it is a social construct that is determined within a culture or a community, and it can change over time, it can change over a period, it can change over a geographical place. So you could go to a place where in agriculture, it is the women that process the seedlings or the produce, and it is the men that actually do the planting. But in some other communities, it is the men that will process, while it is the women that are on the farm tilling the soil. So the gender roles is just a function of what each sex organ perform. And to change those misconceptions in our health or community, commercial sector, we should begin to know that a woman can equally be a nurse or a doctor. And it's not only the men that has to be the doctor, while the women, be the nurses. It is a function of what we can do and how well we can do it. And we should allow every sex to perform the role that they have chosen for themselves. And on this note, I'm going to draw the curtains, and I thank you all for listening. Okay. Let me stop sharing my screen, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Aderinoye Abdul Wahab, for a very educative presentation. We request that, I would like to request that you check through the chat box to see if there are comments and questions for your attention.